What is going on, everyone? AP over here. Run Pure Sports, bring it to you once again. We have the Lineup Builder Show with our partners, SaberSim. It's the John Deere Classic. Before I bring in my two guys, I want to know, was the optimal score higher or lower than 721 points last year? We're talking DraftKings scoring, John Deere Classic. My boy Sepp Straka was the winner. Over or under 72 or 721 points? That is the question right out of the gate. It's going to be a birdie fest. Lots of scoring. Yeah, the optimal lineup.
Under.
Yeah, it's a good. It's right there. It's right there.
Do you have the answer?
I do have the answer.
Okay.
I definitely have the answer.
Just making sure.
Let's so Drew's on the under. Drew, what's going on, my man? How are you doing this week? How was last week's event for you?
Yeah, it could have been better if Batia could two-putt from like 20 feet or whatever it was. So not bad. I think we did pretty well in Showdown. And I just been hammering the round-to-round betting and stuff like that. So didn't get on. I think the core was okay. The three guys was okay. But the builds around that weren't great. So looking to jump back on the wagon this week and and have some fun. It's going to be a low-scoring event. It's kind of throw stuff at the wall a little bit for the cheaper guys and just see who comes firing at pins. But it's a fun event right before the British Open week or 2 weeks. Yeah,
I hear you. For me, it was I locked Cam Young, had him in every single lineup, and what a terrible Sunday for Mr. Cam Young. Did not get anything done. And then I had a couple good lineups, but I really needed Bobby Mack to make the cut, and he struggled. Like he came in with one of the hottest putters ever, and he just could not get it done. Is what it is. It happens. Snyder, what's going on, my man? How was the week for you last week?
Yeah, it was an all right week. One of the soldiers finished inside the top 10 again for the third straight week, and I was also sweating out that Akshay three-putt there on 18. I had a decent-sized bet on him, 14-1 to be the top American, so I didn't even need him to actually win the event. I just needed him to get in that playoff because he ended up dead heating and costing me half of the action there. I still profited on the bet, but it lost half the action there with him three-putting there from, what was that, like 20 feet he three-putted from or something like that?
Yeah. It was pretty terrible.
And generally, you would think on a downhill putt, you'd rather have your second putt. If you're going to go long, it should be going long so you can have an uphill putt back. But yeah, it happens. It just got the nerves to him there. But solid week overall. Excited to jump into another birdie fest here with an interesting field and pricing.
I will say real quick before we touch on that, did you see the Batia's tee shot on 13? My thought was things kind of even out.
Hit the tree?
It hit the
right?
Well, yeah, he hit the tree. The tree didn't come out of nowhere. Like it was a pretty terrible shot, but it went 97 yards off the tee, and then he had 290, I think, in, and then he had 40, and he got up and down. He made par, and the hole before that, I think Cam Davis had 8 feet for birdie and missed it, so he made par. Batia makes par from 300 yards away for his second shot, basically. So kind of funny. The back nine was kind of fun to watch because I didn't know where the birdies were coming from. We got Aaron Rye hitting driver off the deck. It was pretty wild actually for them finishing up. I had no idea where it was going to shake out.
Yeah, I had the coverage on, but I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of it. We have Wimbledon going on this week. I love tennis. Absolutely biffed on a dog today. Hopefully tomorrow is better. Eubanks, I double clicked. I put my bet in twice on Chris Eubanks, and so I have double what I wanted to actually have on Mr. Chris Eubanks, who's going to play tomorrow at even money. So I think he wins though, so it will be fine. But I was trying to, yeah, there we go, Jason Parks. The lights were too bright for her.
Well, you just don't like Wozniacki for whatever reason. You just like picking on Wozniacki.
Oh, I know. I gotta get off of that. She's just old. The father time, it gets us all eventually, and she's looked pretty good. But you can't really take much away from today because she was not pushed at all. So I'm not even going to mess with it going into her round 2. But I digress. I could definitely get off on some tangents there. Before I kick it over to you, Snyder. What was your answer? So the question was last year's optimal at the John Deere Classic Birdie Fest, over or under 721 DraftKings points.
It kind of sounds like a trick question, so I'm going to go with the over then.
I mean, it is over. And yeah, I mean, so it was Ludwig Aberg, Alex Smalley, Sepp Straka, the winner, Brendan Todd, Kevin Yu, Lucas Glover, 49,700 salary, used 722 and a half DraftKings points that were scored. So look, it's a birdie fest this week. You need your guys to go low. You need them to score a lot of birdies, and we're going to try to help you figure out who to roster this week using SaberSim, doing our lineup builder like we do each and every week. We're going to talk about the golfers. We're going to go through tier by tier. We're going to bump golfers up. We're going to bump them down if we like them, etc. And at the very end, we're going to make our show build is what we call it. This process has been awesome so far. Snyder, before we get into that portion, talk to us about the course this week.
Yeah, we're going to stay here in the Midwest this week for the John Deere Classic. TPC DEERE Run's going to be a par 71 that's going to measure just under 7,300 yards. It's going to present average size greens here coming in at around 5,500 square feet on average. These bent grass greens will be rolling at around 12 on the step meter. We will see another birdie fest here as golfers are going to need to have a minimum of 1 in 3 birdies or better conversion rate on average here to get the win. The scoring average over the last 5 years has been 69.55, so definitely need to score here. Both bombers and plotters have had success here, as it just generally comes down to a putting contest and who can get the hot putter for 4 days. The fairways are generally wide here at around 35 yards wide, but they did narrow a few fairways here, about 5 feet, in fact, on holes 1, 6, 11, and 15 this year. Golfers will see 3 holes with water in play. The rough will be cut at around 4 inches in height. 44% of the shots came from 150 yards and within last year, putting a demand on wedge play here. Some other key stats we're looking at: strokes gained approach, birdies are better percentage, putting with an emphasis on bent grass, bogey avoidance, and then strokes gained easy courses.
Yeah, very good. One other, just an interesting thing, because you don't see it happen often at all. Sepp Straka, winner last year, he opened with a 73. That's pretty incredible. Followed it up with a 63, 65, 62. So got off to a slow start, but he got the job done. Kind of surprising, actually. I kind of think of him as a guy that does better on tougher tracks, but man, the guy went low. So let's dive into it. Let's start with this top tier. Drew, we're going to start with you. It's interesting because Jordan Spieth, in a field like this, should be the Spieth show, but not necessarily the case. He's been absolutely terrible. So what are you doing with the top range this week? Aaron Rye all the way up to Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, it's tough because I think Sepp Straka is going to get a good bit of ownership. He's obviously coming in with some really good form. Spieth has the good course history from 8-10 years ago. So it's a little bit tough, and it's tough to stomach paying up for these prices because I think there's a lot of good 8-9K plays that can still go low. So I'll probably be I'll definitely be off of Aaron Rye. Sung J M is the guy that I keep kicking around. His recent form has been pretty great. He's got 4 top 10s in his last 6 starts. So I think Sung Jae is the guy that I'm going to lean into. Straka, I played a ton of. I just think he gets steamed up at 10-4, and I don't want to go back to him. Similar to what you said, I do think he's better on the tougher tracks. I'm not sure he can stay hot with the putter on a 24 under par winning tournament. So, and Spieth is kind of just to stay away. I don't know really what to make of him. I'm certainly not going to pay 10-5 in this field and try to jam in some values that I don't trust anyway. So for me, it's really Sung J M, and it's going to be somewhat light. I think I'm going to go, maybe not balanced as the right term, but I'm definitely going to start in the 9Ks for most builds. I think there's a lot of guys coming in with some good recent form. And if I can jam in more of those than just paying up for a Sung Jae, which you kind of kicked off the show, there's really no standout betting odds favorite. So there's really nobody that you pay up for like a Scheffler, and you just have to jam them in and do whatever you can to get them in. So I'm going to take a different approach. Sungjae Im, the one guy up here that I want to play, and that's pretty much it. The chalk can do whatever, and I'll be fine.
Yeah, if you take away the major championships, his last 5 events, all of them landing inside the top 10. Really, really impressive. I agree with that take. I think Sungjae is an excellent play. And here's the other thing, too. I'm not going to X any players out. I think it's an interesting week. I think the 9K, upper 8K ranges are really going to pop. And we're going to highlight that through the projections naturally. So the optimizer is going to weed these guys out, the Jordan Spieths, etc. But we're going to leave them in there just in case they hit some random build or whatever. And I feel pretty good about that. Snyder, let's go over to you. Aaron Rye all the way up to Jordan Spieth. What are you doing with this range this week?
Yeah, I think I'm going to target 2 guys in this range. I'm going to be fading Spieth for sure. Probably be under on Sepp, but I know he's got great birdie upside, but I think I like Sungjae and Rye a little better. Sungjae has been playing great. 3 top 10s in his last 4 events. He did miss a cut at the U.S. Open, but I don't think that's a concern at all here for this type of event. In his last event at the Travelers, he had 4 rounds of 67 or better, made 23 birdies to only 3 bogeys in that event. And so I think Sungjae sets up really well here at this event. He hasn't played here in the last couple of years, but I think he's a strong fit, and the game's starting to transcend upward. Looking at the tee to green numbers and such, I like Sungjae. And then Aaron Rye, I've been playing him pretty much the last month or so. I mean, when he's been playing, he didn't play in the Travelers or the Memorial, but the last time he played consecutive events, he bettered his finish there, going from 32nd at the Schwab to 14th at the Canadian Open. He finished 2nd last week, so maybe he can keep the strong form going. He was right in contention last week. I think Aaron Rye and Sungjae are the 2 guys I'm going to mainly target in this range. I think all 4 of these guys, plus Mav, should see a decent amount of ownership, so I'm going to pick 2 of the 4 up top.
When we get into events like this, I really like to anchor my build. I did it last week with Cam Young. I just ended up locking him in, just guaranteeing that I'm going to get overweight. I'm trending that way with Sungjae Im. So Cameron Young, yeah, he was terrible on Sunday, but man, he was right there. He could have easily won that tournament, and my week would have been significantly better. I could have done the same thing with Akshay. It was kind of a coin flip between the 2. I thought Akshay was going to get more ownership, so I thought Cam Young might be a little bit better. I was right there, but man, Akshay was just fantastic. And so, yeah, but I see Sungjae being that guy for me this week, and I feel really good about it. So I kind of trend to where you're at, Drew, being off of Spieth for sure. Sepp, I'm probably going to be off of. And then Aaron Rye, I mean, I just think these guys in the 9K range that we're going to talk about are a little bit more appealing. So Snyder, for the 9K range, we're going to stick with you. Then we're going to go to Drew. What are you doing? 9K range, we have your boy, Matt McNeely, all the way down to Sam Stevens.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty decent flop leg spot here for Mav. Didn't play the best last week at all. He did make the cut. He had a strong charge on Friday to make the cut. Didn't do anything over the weekend. I think this is a strong bounce back spot for him. He's got some good course history here. He finished 8th in his last appearance here a couple years ago in 22. I think he's a solid option. Davis Thompson has been playing some excellent golf too over the last month or so. Finished T31 here last year. I think the game is much better than it was last year heading into. Was 2nd last week. I think he's a strong guy to go to. He's bettered his performance in his last 3 events too. 27th, 9th, and 2nd last week. I think Denny is a strong option here. I mean, he's got a super hot putter. He can definitely putt the lights out, and he's finished inside the top 10 the last 2 years here. So I think he'll be kind of a popular option, but a solid option there with a strong putter. Probably won't play Day. I don't think I'm going to play Keith Mitchell either. The putter has just not been there for Mitchell, and if you lose strokes putting here, there's no way you're going to contend at this track. So I'll probably be off of him. I've heard his name kind of getting brought up a little bit, so maybe he catches a little steam. And then the Postman did win this event a couple years ago and finished 6th last year. The game is kind of trending downward, though. He's worse. He's had a worse performance in the last 4 events, going 55th, 32nd, 22nd, and T12 his last 4 events, with a 55th coming at his last event, the Travelers. So I think I'm going to be under on JT. I'm going to just mainly target the top 3 guys in this range, I think, with the bottom 2 guys in the 10K range.
JTP. JTP, right?
JTP.
Question back to you, Snyder, and I'll ask the same question to Drew. Do you guys have any problem? So, like, I kept this in view so everyone could see. Do you guys have any problem with Matt McNeely, Davis Thompson, and Denny specifically, their projections being higher than the 3 guys that we kind of were lower on outside of Sungjae in this top range? Because, like, when I just look at this, I want this upper 9K range to pop more than Straka, more than Spieth for sure. And then I would say more than Aaron Rai as well, especially like Matt McNeely, Thompson, and Denny. Like those 3 specifically, I would have them slightly above Aaron Rai. Do you guys have any problem with that? Snyder, you first.
No, I think that's fine. Yeah, I think they all have strong birdie upside. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. They're all relatively close, same price as well.
Yeah, I like how we have it right there. Drew, talk about this range as well, and from a projection standpoint, you can give your thoughts on that. Kind of highlighting the upper 9K range versus some of these. I think we were all in agreements. Like we weren't that high on those 3 plays outside of Sungjae in the 10K and up range.
Yeah, I mean the nice thing about optimizers in general, and certainly SaberSim, is you're trying to make it fit whatever you're trying to accomplish. So like for us, we're leaving everybody in the pool. We're trying to bump people up to basically prioritize. So you can, instead of a projection, you can kind of view it as like a ranking. So certainly bumping those guys up above Aaron Rai, we're just trying to enable the optimizers to give us more of the players we like. If we were JBC or something and we had our projections and we just want to throw them in there and we know our projections are good and we run it, then so be it. But yeah, for this purpose, yeah, I would do that a lot, is just bumping guys up. And honestly, it's a good practice anyways, is to check guys. If you want to trim your player pool, obviously that's step 1, but checking projections, because there's sometimes if a guy hasn't played in a couple weeks and he's coming back off an injury, maybe you'll see this projection like 8 or 10 points lower than people around him, and you won't ever get them. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you trim your player pool. You got to manually bump those guys up. So I could take an extra, minute there to talk about that, because I'm basically in lockstep with Snyder in this 9K range. The guys that are playing well, Davis Thompson, coming in really well, especially off the U.S. Open. I was really impressed with how he composed himself. And honestly, coming out of school, he was one of the best, amateur players. He was like the, Ludwig Aberg coming out of school a couple years ago. He was the guy, and he just hasn't done, what a lot of people thought he could be. So I think Davis Thompson can get a win here. I liked him last week, and I'll go right back to him. McNeely, this is a great bounce back spot. If a guy that hits it really well and can putt well, this is the spot for him. So McNeely's another guy that people should go right back to off of last week. And then same with Denny McCarthy. Honestly, Denny McCarthy's kind of the class of this field. If you look at the fields he's played against this year and how well he's done, like the finishes don't look great, but he's also playing against the top 20 guys in the world or on the PGA Tour, however you want to view it, every single event he's played. So Denny McCarthy actually stands out quite a bit. And then the bottom of that 9K range, I really don't have any interest. Jason Day, no. Keith Mitchell will continue to look good statistically for probably another month or 2, unless he really falls off the wagon. But to Snyder's point, man, he does not do anything with his opportunities. And he doesn't, he's barely cracking top 30s when he's playing well. So I do like Keith Mitchell. I don't think this course even sets up well for him anyways. Like for him, driving it really well would be like the best spot for him on a tough golf course like the Honda, where you have to drive it straight and you have to drive it long enough to have good wedges. This isn't it. Like you just got to be good with the irons and make some putts. So the weird out is JT Poston, but he just hasn't been good. And then Sam Stevens up here, I would probably leave in. It just seems like he's trending in the right direction, and I don't know enough about him to say he sucks. He apparently doesn't. So even last week, we joked on the Showdown show, Snyder. Sam Stevens was a favorite against Knapp after Knapp shot 65 on Friday, and I was kind of shocked. And then Sam Stevens went and shot 66 or 65 himself on Saturday. So the dude's good. So for me, it's really the top 3 guys: McNeely, Thompson, McCarthy. And then I think I'm going to play some Sam Stevens at 9K.
Yeah, I like that. And I think I gathered from, the comments there, if we rank this range, Mav, McNeely, and look, like the history here is good. The history here for Denny is really good. T6, last 2 years. Mav McNeely's gotten better every single year he's played here. T18, T8 back in 22, did not play her in 23. And then Davis Thompson's just, trending in the right direction. Second last week, 9th at the U.S. Open. I mean, he has so much momentum going for him. But I still think I like this ranking that we have. And, I like the Sam Stevens call as well. Let's keep it going. Let's get to the 8K range. Drew, let's go back to you for this range. Nick Dunlap at the top, all the way down to Bo Haas. What are you doing with the 8K range?
Same thing, man. I'm going to be targeting guys that are coming off, really good run of tournaments and really just the last couple weeks. The first one is Nick Dunlap. I think Nick Dunlap opened with a 64, 63, something like that last week, and he really had it rolling. And I think he shot that with a double, if I'm not mistaken. I think he doubled a par 3. So, Nick Dunlap at 8,900. I very impressive. The dude's finally kind of finding his own way on the PGA Tour after his win at the Amex earlier in the year. Nick Dunlap for me. Luke Clanton's the same deal. I just think he's so good, and he's going to find his way. This would be a great opportunity for him to make a bunch of birdies. There's really not a lot of risk off the tee. Fairways are pretty generous. Just get hot with the putter and hit some wedges close. So I do like Luke Clanton at 8,600. A lot of guys saw him last week hanging out with JVC and Bryce, which was pretty cool to see. Kevin Yu surprisingly did good last year here, but dude cannot putt, and his stats look great. I want to leave him in. I think the upside is still there at 8,800. I'm not afraid, but he certainly will let you down with the flat stick more times than he doesn't. So I'll keep going back. He's just one of those guys. You have JT and I have KY. So that doesn't sound good.
Hey, one question real quick on our guy, Mr. Luke Clanton, because he looks like a stud. Do you think, what's ownership going to do with this guy specifically? Is there going to be a lagging effect with the market, or is the market just getting so sharp that people are going to hammer this guy? Because I love the price tag. I feel like I haven't looked at ownership projections yet at all, so I have no idea what the market's doing, and I like to come into that show that way instead of kind of having an idea where the market's at. But I love the price tag because I feel like he might go a little overlooked. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I do. I think there's 2 things that really help his case out. One is his price increase to 8,600, and he's also around guys that have some course history. Some of it's good course history, but at least there is some course history. Last week, he was so cheap. He's around a bunch of other scrubs, and everyone's just like, I mean, if I'm going to play a bunch of scrappy guys, I might as well play the hot kid out of college and see what he can do. Now he's 8,600 around guys like Lucas Glover, Eric Cole, Seamus Powers getting some love. So I do think his ownership will be pretty negated versus what we saw last week. It won't just keep getting steamed up, in my opinion, at least. But he's a fantastic option. I think he has top 5 equity easily here. And then the bottom range, I really don't have too many hot takes. None of these guys can really get it rolling. Hubbard seems like the guy I would probably go to over, Svensson and Hostler, but I'm curious what Snyder has to say. But really the top range there in the 8K I like a lot. Dunlap, Clanton, and then Kevin Yu.
All right, very good. Snyder, over to you, 9K range. And I'm already kind of retracing my steps a little bit or stepping back a little bit from my stand of Sung Jae because I went up a little too far. I mean, this range, when you think of just kind of the variance that we're going to see this week, there are a lot of guys that we talked about in the upper 9K range, and then now here even in the 8K range, especially the Luke Clantons of the world, Nick Dunlap as well. I think Nick Dunlap could easily win this event, just exactly like Drew said. And so, I don't want a Sung Jae build kind of forcing in some values, some speculative values, taken away from maybe a Dunlap, Clanton, McCarthy build, if that can even work. And so I'm taking away that comment of having that Sung Jae anchor just a little bit as we go through this range. But Snyder, talk to us about the AKs.
Yeah, I think I do like the Dunlap call there. I think he's got elite scoring upside. This is a good landing spot for him too to kind of maybe build off that top 10 last week. I like his upside here. If you look at his putting stats last 36, that's kind of all weighed down from one bad event he had where he lost 7 strokes putting. But besides that, he's been pretty solid. He's got definitely has the upside with the putter. So I like Dunlap there. I'm not generally a U guy, so I probably won't get to him. I think Clan is a solid option too. He played strong. Three rounds. The first 3 rounds he played great. The 4th round wasn't the best, but maybe that was one of his first final rounds. He was up near the top. Maybe had a little bit of nervousness going there. I think he's a strong option, though. It'll be pretty easy to get overweight on him too. I expect him to be somewhere, around 8 to 12% or something like that. I don't think it'll be too crazy on him. Eric Cole, I think he found something with the ball striking last week. I don't mind going right back to him. He's got good scoring upside. Mark Hubbard's been the most consistent player. I think he's made like his last 17 cuts or something like that. He does have some good scoring upside too. He made an eagle last week. He's made an eagle in quite a few events this week, so he's got some eagle upside, got some good birdie upside. He's made 20-plus birdies in a few events this year, so he's got that upside there. I think Svensson is one of the stronger options. He's kind of popping in the models for me. He did miss the cut last week. I think there's a good flop-like spot for him here. A pair of top 25s the last 2 times here. I think he's got some solid upside as well. So I'll have some Svensson there. I think he could see a little bit of ownership, maybe somewhere around like 12 to 15% or something like that, but should be relatively easy to get overweight on him. And I don't think I'm going to go to my guy, Big Haas. I'd rather play Svensson over Hassler. Seamus Power always holds good birdie upside. He's got a couple good finishes here. It was T13 last year and T8 back in 21. So he's got some upside. I've heard his name kind of getting brought up. I think he could be the guy that kind of gets steamed up a little bit in this range.
He's already dropped from 80 to 1 to 45 to 1 or 40 to 1.
Yeah.
So he's definitely getting steam in the betting markets. We'll see how that translates to ownership. You're on mute.
What a donkey. I like how Eric Cole's playing as well. But I really think like Nick Dunlap, man, he's awesome. Yeah. I love what we've seen with Luke Clanton. And I think getting in ahead of where the market's going to be at, taking an overweight stand is something that I'm going to have a lot of interest in. And then, I like those calls, Svensson. I like Hubbard. I say this, and then he'll probably crush this week. But, man, it's like every time I play him, maybe starts out hot, makes the cut, but then does absolutely nothing. It seems like that. He did well here last year. T6 and then T13 the year before that. So at least he's improved in back-to-back years. So I don't want to like X him out. So I think we gave him a fair projection, kind of in this range. Let's keep it going though. Let's go down. We're going to go back to are we back to you, Snyder? I think kind of zigzagging back and forth. 7K range. I'll bring in talk about your favorite, 5, 6, 7, however many guys that you like that you're playing and that you're on in this range. We'll bring them into the pool versus opening up the entire player pool of players in this range.
I'm gonna go. I'll lead it off with. I'm gonna go right back to Thorbornson. I'm gonna keep playing him. I think he's got a lot of good raw upside talent here. This is another spot. Last week he was.
How did he finish last week?
He just made some mistakes down the stretch last week. I think he shot.
This is your boy, though. This is your boy. So he's definitely Snyder.
67 day 1 and then kind of blew up on day 2. But I'm going to go right back to him. He was top 20 here last year. Finished T17 last year. The dude can just send it off the tee. He should have a lot of wedges in his hand there. He's got a pretty good green regulation percentage. I think he'll be able to knock some close. I think he'll be able to get some scoring going this week. I like his upside here. he has some events where he's made, 18 to 25 birdies and some such looking at some like overseas events and like Corn Ferry Tour events and stuff like that. So I think he's got good upside. Something that kind of stuck out to me was Rio Hisatune was even money versus Seamus Power in the matchup market. So that kind of caught my eye. I'm going to play some Rio this week. T31 last week, he had to shoot he shot lights out on Friday to even make the cut. Ends up finishing T31. So I like Rio a decent amount this week. So he's at 76. I think that's a good price there. Was he 700 cheaper than Seamus, and he's even money against him in the betting market. So I like that. Andrew Novak always holds good upside. T20 last week. T14 at the Canadian Open, so he's got two solid finishes back to back, solid across the board stats wise last 36 rounds. So Novak will be in the pool for me. Lee Hodges kind of hurt my feelings. He was a soldier that missed the cut last week. You just hate to see it, but we're gonna go right back to Hodges at 7,500. I think he's a solid upside play this week. I know he didn't play the best last week, but I still like the upside he brings here. I probably won't get to Berger. Neil Shipley's fine. I mean, he's been playing smooth golf. I mean, T26.
He's been incredible. I was kicking myself that I didn't play him last week. How do he end up finishing?
T20.
Okay, so he struggled on Sunday though, right? Because I felt like he was right in it through 3 days.
Yeah, he. Let me see if I can.
He was around 20th, I think, every day. But
okay, I got you.
But
we'll leave him in the
20th was within 4 shots of the lead.
Yeah, he shot 72 on Sunday, so he didn't really do much Sunday, but had a couple good rounds in there for sure. I like the outside. JJ Spawn brings 7.4K. He had a good week last week. T10. He's a guy that can make a lot of birdies at times, so he'll definitely be in the pool for me. Our guy Nasty Nate was the Nebraska guy at T25 last week. He was T21 here last year. He's a guy I like to play on these easier, weaker type field events. So at him at 7.4, I'll be going back to him. That's about it for me. Drew can talk about the rest of these guys. Justin Lauer was another guy that I had in the pool last week that finished solid. He was T25 last week. Gets a price bump this week. And Johnny Vegas is actually kind of coming alive the last couple of events he's played. He was T25 as well last week.
Yeah, I'm going to bring Lauer back into the pool. Drew, what are you doing with the 7K range this week? We'll go back up to the top.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. I think the one guy you didn't mention was Ben Griffin. I don't know if he's got an eye stigmatism or something he got to fix 2 weeks ago. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, he's already out there playing golf, but it was in the news. He grades out really well. And he started off the year fantastic. So I think Ben Griffin's kind of at a buy low spot, to be honest, especially going to a Birdie Fest, which he did pretty well in the West Coast Birdie Fest to start off the year. So I do like Ben Griffin. Pretty much in line with most of Snyder. So Hitsutsuki, the dude sucked on Thursday. There's no way around it. He lost 7 strokes tee to green on Thursday alone. No exaggeration. I think it was 5 or 7. So maybe a slight exaggeration. It was up there. It was pretty bad. And he really turned it around on the weekend. And I kept fading him, and he just kept performing. So I do think he's a fantastic play in a Birdie Fest coming back here. Novak, Andrew Novak, just like Snyder said, I do like that play. Neil Shipley, he gets a price increase. I still think he's fine. I mean, the dude's playing great golf. I think this golf course sets up really well for these kids out of college anyways. I even think, even considering it was the same type of Birdie Fest as last week, from a low scoring perspective, I still think the TPC DEERE run sets up so well for these guys where it's not super demanding off the tee. Honestly, they have a lot of wedges. They don't have a lot of long irons into tough greens, and they're just trying to make a lot of putts, and that's basically college golf. So I think, we talked about Luke Clanton. I think Neil Shipley's in the same boat. Daniel Berger, I thought last week was Berger week. I was wrong. It's going to be this week. So,
okay.
I mean, Berger's going to, dude, one of these weeks, it's probably going to be an alternate field event, like the British Open at Barracuda or something like that, where you can't win but $150 $50 or something. But one of these weeks he's going to pop. I mean, statistically, he looks fantastic for me. Putting is the concern, but he's had 3 made cuts here dating back to 2017. He just hasn't played here a ton. A 5th place back in 2017, and then two 30th place finishes. So I do like Berger. Missed a cut last week, but I'm going to go right back to him. Again, grades out really well for everything I'm looking at. Kind of for upside scoring. He just has to do the scoring part.
I like that. Saber likes him too. They got him about like a 70% made cut rate. So
I mean, in this field, man, he was like
I haven't been playing him either. So I'm on board.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm on board with Daniel Berger with you. Well, he's got to be low owned, right? I mean,
because he keeps but no one's clicking him, and then he's missing cuts. So it's not like he is doing anything to catch notice of anybody. So, but one of these, like I said, one of these weeks, man, he's going to do something, and he's going to be 2,000 more than what he is right now. And I just want to be early, and he still grades out well. It's not like I'm just throwing shit against the wall and hoping he finds something. He looks really good in a lot of the key stats I'm looking at as far as approach goes. So the bottom of the range, not a ton, man. I'm looking at guys that make a lot of birdies. Like Toasty was a guy, but he withdrew through on the 2nd round, I think, last week. I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't know, Snyder, if you heard anything or if he was just a mental.
Davis Riley was the one guy I was looking at. Do you guys have any thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, 7,300. I would leave him in. Yeah,
we'll bring him into the pool. Give him a little bump.
The guy that'll burn me in this week. The guy that'll burn me will be like a Brendan Todd, who has the 2nd place last year. He doesn't look good statistically coming into this week, and somehow he'll probably finish T5. So I would exclude him, and he would be the one guy all week that I know is going to get me. Well, I don't know if Snyder has a take. Brendan Todd just does that, man. It drives me nuts.
What's his price?
On him. He's 7,300.
Yeah, 70. We're gonna.
He looks terrible. He looks terrible. Like he's dead last in approach almost in every category that I'm.
Okay.
At. So,
let's keep him out.
Thank you.
We're anti.
We can all suffer.
Brendan
We can
Todd.
suffer together. That's pretty much it, man. I mean, there's some guys like Vegas looked pretty good last week. I am going to play some Vegas at 7,200, and I don't see myself getting down to like a Luke list in a putting contest. Dylan Wu, he has a few good spots. I don't think I'll play much anyway. So yeah, I think that's Grayson Sig. I would leave Grayson Sig in as well. Again, another guy that's not super long off the tee. Again, you don't need a ton of distance here. Everyone's kind of hitting to the same spot and good with his wedges. He's 7,200.
Yeah. I'm fine with taking more stands in this range as well. So,
I mean, there's a lot of guys we excluded, I think, like Bridgman. I don't think we talked about Bridgman or Damon.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like this group right here. And there's a lot of landmines in this range too, like your Joel Damons, Brendan Todd, especially if he's going to get ownership. I like our stand with Daniel Berger as well. Drew, let's stick with you. Let's go right back into the 6K range, and then we'll go back to Snyder. Do we get 5Ks this week?
No.
Okay. Perfect.
No.
It's weird how they're doing that.
It's only if Scheffler or McIlroy's in there.
Yeah.
Supposedly, like they're trying to make sure his ownership stays high.
Yeah. Try to sucker us in.
That's right.
6K range. What are you doing down here?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I heard a lot of chatter in the chat about Kazire, and I'll be a sucker for Kazire here. He's got good course history. His stats leading in look really good in his last 4 events. He's 6,900 there. He missed the cut last year, but before that he finished 16th, 11th, and then a few years back finished 30th and 25th. So he's 4 of 5 cuts, and most of these are inside of top 25. So and he finished 20th last week. So I do like Pat and Kazire down there. Troy Merritt, I'll probably take a stab on Troy Merritt and David Skins. David Skins is right there below Kazire at 6,900. Let's see. And then it gets pretty dicey as soon as we hit 6,700 and down. Honestly, I don't think I have anybody below 6,500. So you might have to.
There's a lot of easy.
We can chat about it.
There's a lot of easy cuts down here,
and we don't need it because we don't have to jam in Scotty. And there's no if you want to take a stand against all the 10K, which I would be fine with, and just litter the 7, 8s, and 9s, dude, I I would love those builds. So, I'm not really excited to play these guys.
And I have a feeling when we run this, that's what it's going to look like, just with how we altered the projections just a little bit. I think it's really going to highlight the upper 9K and 8K ranges, which means that we don't have to necessarily punt down here. Let me look at real quick.
I got one more you can add in there. Pearson Cootie.
Real quick, last year, there was no 6Ks in the winter. It was 10-1. That was Ludwig. Smalley was 8-9. Sepp 8-6. Winner. Your boy Brendan Todd 7-6. Your other boy Kevin Yu 7-3. Lucas Glover, who we're not on because he can't putt, 7-2. So I don't know. I mean,
thing back.
Run it back and we'll be good. I mean, that's kind of how it goes, right? No, I do think there is a difference. There might not be a difference between the 10K range and say like the 9K and upper 8K range, but I do think when you get down to the 6Ks, there's a lot of guys down here that are going to miss the cut and that are going to absolutely tank your lineup. So I would be very cautious down here clicking names in. So I'm good with Merritt. I'm good with Skins and Kazire. Am I missing one? Did you say one?
The last guy was Pearson Cootie, just a young guy that
Cooties.
makes a lot of birdies. Yeah, the Cooties.
What was his price?
67.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Snyder, what are you doing with the 6Ks this week?
Oh, yeah. I like that.
I like that guy too. You're on him?
You got me. But there's a couple guys I was looking at here as well. I was also on Patton Kazire as well. He's finished top 30 or better in 4 of his last 5 events, was T20 last week. He's a guy that's got some strong upside. He can get hot with the irons as well. Gained over 7 strokes approach at the Myrtle Beach, gained over 5 strokes earlier this year at the event, 3 strokes at Byron Nelson, 2 strokes approach last week. So I think he's a guy that can get hot. Max Gracerman was a punt I was on last week as well. Gets a price bump here this week. He was 6,200 last week, 6.9 this week, but I still love his upside. I mean, the dude can get super hot with the putter. He gained 5 strokes putting at the U.S. Open, gained 3.5 strokes, almost 4 strokes putting at the Rocket Mortgage last week. The irons are hit or miss for him, though, but the dude can definitely get some putts to fall if he can hit some of these greens. I definitely like him some. Troy Merritt's a good birdie upside guy. I think he was T20 last week and T20 here last year. So I think he's got some good upside. I don't mind the Pearson Cootie call as well. And then Ben Coles was another guy I was kind of looking at. He made the cut at the U.S. Open and was T20 last week. He's been playing
good.
Yeah, so I think he's a fine guy you can add to the pool. But I think that's about it.
How's he putting? He's one guy that, man, he finished T20. The putter's starting to trend in the right direction. I think I'd be fine with him. I don't want to get too crazy with anyone down here, but I think
he's gained strokes putting in 5 of his last 6 events, so at least a stroke in 5 of the last 6 events. So I think he's fine. He does struggle around the green a little bit, but the irons are typically good for him as well.
I like it. Perfect. Let's get to our settings here. So we want to look at our top 5 builds. We don't need to. We don't need a pool size of 5,000. For show purposes, we'll bring it back to 1,500. I typically don't like to leave a ton of salary. Drew, what do you think of this week? I mean, on a normal week, I'm typically doing like 49,700. Yeah. Initially, a little bit more variance this week. I was thinking 49,500. But what's your thoughts as far as min salary?
I mean, when you run it, it usually will take out the really bad ones. So I would even bump it down to like 49.2. And if I get a few that have 800 left, we can see how it would sim out anyways. But
yeah,
honestly, like I wouldn't hand make anything probably under 49.5. It would be 49.6 and up if I was but running this, I would always do 49.2 or something.
Yeah, I like that as well. We'll leave sim diversity high. We'll run this. While we're running this, let's talk about our winners, who we think is our favorite person that we think is going to win, and then a longer shot for the people. Snyder, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Davis Thompson to be my winner this week, but he's 25-1 to win outright. But I also actually last week I'm gonna play him more so on the top American. He's 18-1 to be the top American, and that cuts off the top 3 odds there. Sung Jae Im, Sep Strock, and Aaron Rai are right on top of the board, and so you're giving up a little equity, but you're losing the three of the top odds guys. So it's basically him versus Denny and Spieth up top. So I like Davis Thompson at 18-1 to be the top American, more so than the 25-1 to be outright. So I'm going to lean there for my winner up top. And then down low, I'm going to go with Rio. I'm going to go with him for my longer shot at 65-1. I think he's got some solid upside win equity here as well. I like how he's even money against power in the matchup markets. I think that jumped out at me a lot. He's where did he go? Yeah, at all the markets, he opened at -110 at all the big books and on the Vegas Strip. I think he's a solid option.
All right, Drew, who is your 2 winners this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go Nick Dunlap. I think he's 30-1, 35-1.
Yeah.
I like that quite a bit. Already won this year. Takes a lot of burden off of you. And as we go down, try to get someone that's a little bit deeper. Who'd you pick? Is it Tsuni?
Yeah, Rio, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shoot, man. Let me just do... I'll be different. I'll say Berger.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say you got to go to Daniel Berger.
Yeah.
So I'm on Dunlap also. I love that outright on him, 35-1 over at DraftKings. Since you already took that, I'm going to take – and Snyder, who was your top guy to win?
I took Davis Thompson. I do like Dunlop as well as to be the top American. He's 28-1 to be the top American too. So you're giving up 7 points of equity, but I do like cutting off some of those guys up top so he could finish like T4 and still win that bet theoretically.
I really like so I was between Denny and Mav. I really love this flop lag spot from Denny. From Matt McNeely. I'm going to take him. So outside instead of Dunlap, I'm going to take Matt McNeely, 28-1, 30-1, I believe. And then my longer shot, Eric Cole, 50-1. I like a little stab on him as well. Let's check these builds out. Let's bring the lineups over. I can't remember. All right, yeah. Let's sort by using SaberScore. So projected score, that's just going to bring up basically all of our top lineups that we've adjusted, prioritizing by the golfers that we highlighted. I love using the SaberScore, and I like to align it with whatever contest that we're running. Let's just go 100 to 1,000 people. Let's use this one. Let's sort it by that, and then I like to diversify. I like to have some diversification in our portfolio of 3 builds, our 3 show builds, if we want to call it that. Let's sort this. We can see our highest owned. We got Nick Dunlap. Nick Dunlap locked into all of our lineups. So the first one, Ben Coles, Denny McCarthy, Nick Dunlap, Berger, Sam Stevens, and Luke Clanton. So very much kind of a balance-ish build. We do have Denny up there as a stud. Not typically used to calling him a stud, but there we have it. Here's a nice build. Our second highest one, we completely faded the 6K range. I think this one is really nice. Svensson, Denny McCarthy, Riley, Dunlap, Novak, and then our boy Luke Clanton. And our third one, Clanton, Sung Jae. So there's our first Sung Jae one. Ben Coles in there, JJ Spawn. Guys, there's so many builds that are going to look really good this week. I might take a tighter pool of these players that all look pretty good, and it'll become a mix and match game. And Drew, going to you. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Look, we're using up all the salary here, so SaberSim is absolutely doing its thing. But what's your thoughts on these builds, our show builds this week?
Yeah, pretty balanced. I would probably be trying to get 2 of the 9K if I'm going balanced. Try to get 2 of the 9K guys in, and then maybe punt off a cheaper 7K guy and another 7K guy. But otherwise, it looked pretty good. I just think if you're going to go balanced, you want 2 of those higher 9K guys, or at least like 4 of the high 8+ guys. That's kind of how I would view it, because I feel like that floor would be so high.
What's so here? What the 9K guys? So Denny Davis, can't see the salary there. Sam Stevens as well, right?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, just
so
the main guys would be McNeely, Thompson, and
Let's
McCarthy. Like having at least one of those guys, possibly 2, and at least 2 of those 8K guys we talked about.
I like that. So
I mean, a lot of these had that
Denny
one
and Davis
9K
Thompson.
guy. Yeah, perfect. So at least I have those 2 guys that I think are probably going to be in the top 5.
And this was actually our 8th ranked build, one we didn't talk about. I don't think. Maybe we did.
That one's really good.
Yeah, that one is really nice. Snyder, what's your final thoughts on the builds this week?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I think I need at least 2 to 3 guys up there, like you're saying, in that range. I think it should be a fun, interesting week. Whoever gets the hot putter, like if John Rahm was here, he'd be calling it a fucking putting contest. But I think this will be a fun event as we lead into the overseas events the next 2 weeks. With the Scottish and then the Open. I love the Open because I'm usually up super early anyway, and just start off with seeing how
Is it the week of the Quest?
I believe, is it the 19th? Yeah.
Is that
it is. Yeah, it's the week of the Quest.
That's gonna
be so I won't even be sleeping that week anyway. So.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of sleeping that week. That's our member guess over at Firethorn.
I figured, yeah.
Oh, it's always a crazy week. So that's going to be a ton of fun. Drew, any final thoughts this week?
No, not really. I think it looks like it's laid out pretty simple, and be hammering some of the guys we didn't really touch on in Showdown, but just trying to take the volatility and max it out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of Showdown, we got Snyder in here. Absolutely crushes the Showdown content. The playbook will be up for every single round. We do a show for round 4 with Snyder and our guy Kurt. And then the playbook will be up tomorrow, our cheat sheet, all of the content you can find over at Run Pure Sports. Again, for Drew, for Snyder, I'm AP. Good luck in your contests. And as always, Run Pure.